You know, I think over time people just seem to have forgotten how big of a deal Sonic Adventure 2 Battle really is. I'm not going to waste your time detailing Sonic's dark past since everyone insists on telling you about it at every turn, but I will say that for the 10th anniversary, Sonic was definitely living pretty. Adventure 2 just came out and it was an awesome anniversary gift. And then, not too long afterwards, we all know how the Dreamcast turned out. And then 2002 rolls around. Get it? I said rolls, because that's what Sonic does. Okay, whatever. Not only do we have a handheld Sonic game influenced by the classics on Nintendo's Game Boy Advance, but that 10th anniversary game was ported with additional features for Nintendo's GameCube. I was still very young at the time, so I couldn't really grasp how big of a deal that was, but if social media was as abundant then as it is now, and if the recent explosion from Bayonetta 2 is any indication, holy crap, people probably would have died over this. But step into 2012 and finally Sega is giving Adventure 2 the digital release treatment, and might I say, it's about time. So I decided it was a perfect time to go back to the copy I own and see how well it's held up, and no, I don't own the Dreamcast or the Dreamcast version, so this is going to be strictly SA2 Battle. Hope you don't mind, and even if you do, shh. Let's get this started. Sonic Adventure 2 is split right down the middle between the good guys and the bad guys, where you can either save the world or destroy the world. The hero side is the trio that we all know and I'm assuming love: Dreadlocks, Foxboy, and of course the blue guy. I forgot his name. And then on the evil side we have Dr. Sunnyside Up Man, Emo the Hedgehog, and Cleavage the Bat. Alright, as if you really need me to tell you who these characters are. This roundup of characters is actually really solid since each character has a polar opposite, and then there's Amy, who's just sort of there being bothersome. Sort of like a pink cat. And as far as I'm concerned, all the characters are played perfectly, and looking back, the most surprising of them all is Shadow and Rouge. It's safe to say later games in the series have butchered their characters, but I almost forgot that they were actually likable during their debut. And to give this game as much credit in the world, the story's actually not bad. Something about Eggman actually having a competent plan to destroy the world, and it's up to Sonic to save them. And some of the plot points are still really stupid, but I don't really mind so much. Like the Master Emerald breaks and 3 of the shards end up in the sewer? I have no idea. And I don't think anyone could defend the city mistaking a black hedgehog for a blue one. Even 10 years ago I thought that was just stupid. But overall the story is well done enough to where there's no real reason to complain, which, as we all know, is not always the case when it comes to Sonic. Now the game itself is split into 3 different level types. The Sonic and Shadow levels are the fast-paced ones, and your goal is to simply get to the end as fast as you can. You have many moves in your arsenal too, like the spin dash, ring dash, and homing attack to help you get by. And I'll tell you now, if you haven't played SA2 in a while, but you have played a good amount of generations, going back to City Escape will result in a huge whiplash. It really shows how new games play so differently. But I'm not saying it's bad. Once you get back used to it, the levels are just as fun as they always were, and totally deserve that spotlight that the Sonic levels always get. And, well, Metal Harbor still remains to be one of my favorite levels in the entire series, if that's any indication. The Tails and Eggman levels are certainly a lot slower as they both play in giant mechs, and you spend pretty much the entire time running at a moderate speed and shooting things. I'd go into more detail, but that's all you do. There is no finesse about it, and I don't really think there needs to be. Maybe I'm just simple to satisfy, but just moving forward and mashing the A button is plenty enjoyable since A, explosions are awesome, and B, they're even more awesome when you're the cause of it. And that's all of their levels in a nutshell. And hey, this was the first time you got to play as Eggman himself, so it's pretty awesome right from the start. And lastly, and from what I can tell, the most hated of the bunch, the Knuckles and Rouge levels where you need to collect 3 different things in a scavenger hunt. Now I can see why people hate these levels because these are probably the most unlike Sonic, but you know what, I've always loved scavenger hunts, so I enjoy these also. They're not amazing by any means, but I see no reason to dislike them. Well, until you get to Mad Space or Meteor Herd, and then Strangulation via GameCube controller sounds a lot more tempting. But overall, while you do spend most of your time not playing as Sonic, I really don't mind in the slightest because the levels are really well done. The Tails levels in SA1 were just the Sonic levels with the ability to fly, so the fact they actually put effort into making Tails stand out here is something that's appreciated. Unlike Adventure 1, which had hub worlds tying each level together, in Adventure 2 you simply pick a story arc and go from level to level, watching cutscenes that show why the characters are in said level, and occasionally fighting some bosses. And in good old Sonic fashion, all the bosses are incredibly easy, which, honestly, at this point, is pretty much expected. But something that's really cool is that there's actually some replayability just in the main levels alone. Each character has a good handful of upgrades that they can use, like the Fire Spin for Sonic and Shadow, Hover Jump for Tails and Eggman, and more powerful attacks for Knuckles and Rouge, and these will unlock paths in previous levels. It's obviously no Metroid, but it's kinda cool just to have a reason to replay levels in a Sonic game aside from just speedrunning them. And of course, upon beating both stories, you'll unlock the final story, housing the final boss and the Supersonic scene. Hoo, shiny. SA2 also has a huge checklist of things to do since there are a ton of emblems to collect. Doing pretty much anything in the game will reward you with one, and there are 180 in all, so if you're willing to go for them all, it'll definitely keep you busy. Like upon beating a story, you'll unlock a boss rush mode for said story. And each level also has 4 different missions for them, mostly entailing and playing through the same level, collecting 100 rings, searching for a hidden Chow, which honestly is not fun in the slightest, racing through a level in a time limit, and going through a hard mode with more enemies and obstacles. What's a shame though is you need to do them in order, so you can't unlock hard mode until you play through the other 3. And honestly, I cannot bring myself to do the Chow searches. They are so not fun. If you think it's fun, great. I don't. But completing all these missions, as well as being able to do so with A ranks, will reward you with a ton of emblems. There's also a kart racing mode that you unlock partway through each story, and is awful a good description for these? Because they are. They're not even remotely enjoyable for a slight diversion. It's just bad, and for crying out loud, you're racing on a one-way road in the middle of the sky. I'll just take Double Dash instead. Thank you very much. And then lastly, what everyone likes to rave about, the Chow Garden, where you can raise a group of adorable little Chow using different items you picked up from the main game. You can raise their stats to where they'll evolve, you can put them in races or karate battles to unlock little toys for them to play with, you can put them in school to learn some new hobbies, buy fruit and tree seeds from the black market, and you can even put them in your copy of Sonic Advance and raise it on the go. So there's a whole lot to do here, but unfortunately, I lost my memory card with Awesome Chow years ago, and the ones I have now are kinda garbage, so... wah. During the transition to the GameCube, a battle mode was added where you can either race, do mech battles, or treasure hunt with a friend. You could do so with a few extra characters here too, so you're not just stuck with the main guys. So if you were just dying to play as Amy in Adventure 2, well, I'm not sure why you would, but here's your chance. I know I don't have legit gameplay showing right here, but the battle mode is actually a lot more fun than you'd think it is since you're able to attack the other players at any time once you get enough rings. It can get really fun at times, and 2-player modes is something I've really missed in recent Sonic games. So overall, there is a lot to do here, but the problem is, all you get for getting every emblem is a secret level that sounds cooler than it actually is. I won't say what it is for those who aren't in the know, but honestly, while it's cool for a single run-through, I really don't think it's worth it. And then of course, it wouldn't be a Sonic game if it didn't look good and sound good, and obviously Adventure 2 fits the bill. The graphics have held up really well, and the character models all look great. The mouth movements, on the other hand, are a bit weird, but it's certainly miles ahead of SA1. And the voice acting is actually fairly competent, although I'd have a better opinion if you could actually hear them speak during the cutscenes. The characters cut each other off so frequently, and the music is just way too loud and drowns out their actual dialogue. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Sonic Team did a pretty poor job with these cutscenes. And then the soundtrack. I'm sure all of you have heard a bulk of these songs already, and like other people, I do think the soundtrack is awesome. Of course, there's the main theme, Live and Learn, which is widely considered the best Sonic theme, but my favorite track has to go to Metal Harbor. It's convenient, isn't it? And I'm pretty positive I'm in the minority here, but I love the Knuckles tunes. I don't know who decided that Knuckles levels should have awful rap music playing in the background, but I want to shake that person's hand. I really do love these songs. I wasn't being sarcastic, and Pumpkin Hill is easily my favorite. I don't really understand why people hate this. Now, why the rapper calls the emeralds Emeralds, I have no idea, but honestly, the dumber, the better. And, well, I also love the Sonic R soundtrack, so, I'm pretty sure my musical taste has lost all credibility. Now, ever since Sonic has had a bit of a resurgence, I've seen a lot of people look back on Adventure 2 and wonder if the game was ever any good to begin with, and I have no idea where they're coming from. It's been over 10 years since this game's been out, and it's held up surprisingly well. It's not perfect by any means, but the important question it answers is that this game is still indeed a lot of fun. I know people think really strongly about whenever Sonic games will use anything other than speed levels, but if it's done well, I see no reason to complain. I legit recall thinking while recording footage, man, I forgot how fun this is. It's not a long adventure, as the main game will take about 5 to 6 hours, but if you're dedicated to do the extras, the time could easily double, if not triple. So if you don't already own a copy of SA2 or SA2 Battle, would it be worth spending the $10 to get the game on Xbox Live, PSN, and Steam? And I'd say it is. Considering this is also the first time the game's actually going to be hitting the PC, that's kind of a big deal because the mods will be amazing. It's stupid that Sega's nickel and diming people out of the battle mode for an additional $3, but copies of SA2 Battle go for upwards of $15 online, so it's still a good deal. But keep in mind that the HD versions of Battle Mode will be offline only, so there's no online Battle Mode here, which is totally a shame. On the upside though, they're actually making that version widescreen, unlike SA1, which was incredibly lazy. So Adventure 2, still pretty awesome. Good on you, Mr. Blue Guy. Oh ho ho, what is this? The things you can do in Photoshop in 30 minutes, let me tell you. I actually have a competent way to end videos now. I quite like it, I hope you do too. So thank you guys for watching this review, and I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to click the links here to watch my older reviews, and be sure to follow my Twitter to see my stupid opinion on other things. And be sure to stay tuned, as I'll be aiming to have at least one video out every 2 weeks, if not quicker. I'm definitely trying to buckle down with a set schedule. And with all that said, I'll catch y'all next time.